Welcome to Frontline Health. This is your host, Dr. Dana, and we have an amazing guest to you today that came all the way from Tulum. Steven Schwartz, who is the founder and CEO of Bioharmonic Technologies, has devised a machine, that's why I'm going to put it right now, call it a machine. It's actually a bed that uses bioharmonic sound waves and frequencies, vibrations and frequencies to change your cells, even alter your DNA. So with that, I'm going to let Steven tell his journey here, how he started with this company, how he intuited the whole thing, and how it came to him step by step. Because I've heard this story, and it's amazing. Everything just came to him when he needed it, and that is powerful. So let me know about that.
Thank you, Dr. Dana. I appreciate it. Excited to be here today on the show. You know, it's been quite the journey. I mean, I'm a chiropractor by license, and actually my undergrad was in sports medicine. So even prior to me going to school for sports medicine, I got involved with athletic performance, and that was really my first passion, was human optimization. You know, how can you achieve the highest level of performance? And that's actually the reason I went to chiropractic school. Ended up graduating chiropractic school and getting my first job really in Colorado in a multidisciplinary center. And what happened in that center was I met a doctor, and she was working with bioenergetic. She's a kinesiologist. She's a chiropractor also, but she was working with these little energy vials.
What was in the vials?
So energy vials, I was like, what are the vials? They were literally glass tubes with water in them. But now within water, there was imprinted information in the water, and you can take that vial and just put it into your energy field and then check for a strong or weak muscle. That's something called kinesiology, or applied kinesiology. And some people, if you can go to college for a degree in kinesiology, which means basically the study of movement.
Muscle testing, right?
Well, but that's applied kinesiology that was created by Dr. John Goodhart in the 60s. So there's always a little bit of crossover about like the definition of like what's kinesiology versus applied kinesiology. And technically, Dr. Goodhart created this whole discipline of muscle testing that's called applied kinesiology. So any kind of muscle testing is now known as applied kinesiology, but we're splitting hairs. Essentially, what you can do is you can take this information from these vials, these little glass tubes with water in them, and water holds information, and you can put information in the vials, and you can check for a strong or weak muscle, you can check for a variety of different things and see how your nervous system responds. And through that process, I was able to basically tap into the nervous system of the body. The body is a computer. The body's also consciousness, the body's also soul. There's many different things in the body, but at the end of the day, you can reprogram the body just the same as you can reprogram a computer. And the way to do that is through vibrational resonance. That's the language of human physiology.
And that's what the bed does?
We'll talk about that in a little bit. But this was the journey of getting to that point, was really understanding the language of the body. And so being able to work with these energy vials through muscle testing, I learned I had a spiritual awakening in 2000. Basically, I came to San Diego for the first time, and I learned this technique that was using these energy vials and muscle reflex testing, and how to identify, target, and destroy infectious agents. Things are like bacteria, viruses, parasites, mold, fungus, yeast, mycoplasmal infections, how to boost your immune system, how to reprogram organs, basically how to reprogram the body computer, how to reprogram the body's computer using muscle testing in these little energy vials. And at that moment, I just remember getting a very profound yes from the universe, saying you need to go from sports medicine into exploring this, and working. My practice overnight transformed into working with autoimmune diseases and chronic degenerative conditions, exclusively using vibrational techniques and technologies. That was really and that was in 2000.
Like Lyme disease and things that
Lyme
serious?
Disease,
mold infection,
fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome,
and you were using
bowel syndrome.
any medicines like that we know about, herbals or anything, just with this vibrations?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Well, I thought it was amazing. I mean, to be honest with you, listen, in 2000, I was right out of school. I was like 1 year out of school, but I remember sitting in this training in San Diego, and I never heard any of this information before. But I was getting, something inside of me was just saying truth.
Right.
And I remember leaving that seminar, that training that weekend, and walking on the beach and just saying to myself, my practice is never going to be the same. My life is never going to be the same. It was one of those moments, one of those life-changing moments. And I returned to Colorado and I began applying this technique that I learned, and I started seeing profound changes. And that really, so many things happened at that point. I remember saying to myself, if I'm going to study energy, I really have to be open to everything that's energy. Not just kind of say, well, I'm open to this energy, but not energy. I was like, so I got into work looking at astrology, numerology. I got into studying occult studies. I started working with ancient languages, the Kabbalah, Hawaiian Huna. Like, I got into subconscious reprogramming, anything I could really think of, anything that was coming into my world that had anything to do with energy. I was basically studying it. And these were amazing years. These were the best years. I mean, there's a lot of education, lots of reading, lots of classes, and just lots of curiosity. And I had a clinic, so I had a lab, and I was able to take these things into my clinic and begin to work with them. So I kind of got known as like the voodoo doctor, the weird voodoo doctor. But that evolved over the years. In 2007, as my practice was growing over the years, and I was about to move into a bigger space. And at this point, I had like 1,000 of these vials. And I could pretty much treat anything that came in, emotional, musculoskeletal stuff, chronic inflammatory stuff.
Sure. Can you just name like some of the vials, what was in them?
Everything. And I think what I'd like to
from the earth?
Let me just give you an example. I'm going to debut something that I've never shared publicly, other than like behind closed doors. But
okay.
I feel that we as humanity needs to understand the power of what I'm about to share with you. There was a woman that I met in that training in San Diego, and she became my first mentor. I came back we both lived in Denver, both spending time together, and she showed me that I could take an energy vial, which is glass tube with water, with nothing in it, and I could literally hold it to my mind or my hand, and I could say, I set the intention to imprint the energetic signature of X.
Really?
Into this vial. Mm-hmm. I'd make a label, and it worked.
Every time? Every
time. So and then if I wanted to clear it, I could do a clearing intention. Like I said, over the years, it's crazy because you can literally begin to reprogram. You start writing code. I was writing code for human physiology, and you need different programs for different things. So there came a point I knew I was doing that. At this point, anything that was coming in the front door, I was treating and getting success with. And I remember in the very early days, though, like I said, I got introduced in 2000. So in like 2000, and I was using these little energy vials. I was learning how to imprint into the vials. And I'd be in my treatment room, and I'd be getting these like incredible results. And remember, it was like our first year out of school.
Like for MS and stuff like that?
MS was definitely a challenge. We had our fair share of MS. But the things that aren't supposed to, autoimmune diseases, irritable bowel syndrome, chronic fatigue, allergies, across the board. I mean, just all kinds of things. Yeah. And I remember just driving my car, just driving home at the end of the day, just like, this is crazy. Like, how is it that I can take a tube of water with imprinted information, put it in a person's energy field, push it on their arm, stimulate some acupressure points down their back, and create profound physiological change? And it was happening. So that took me even deeper into the research. It's like, well, so why is this? Yeah. And really, who are we as humans? We're essentially water. We're 70 to 90% water, as surrounded by 100 trillion cells that are made up with living connective tissue matrix, which is made up of microfilaments, microtubules, intermediate tubules, and those are fancy words for essentially conductive fascia. They're the biological material. It receives information from its environment through vibrational resonance. That's what the fascia does.
Explain to the public what the vibrational resonance is, because we all know what vibration means. But
so this is important. So we all know water. So water does three things. Water conducts, it holds information, and it holds information and dilutes and detoxifies. Okay. So I'm just going to repeat that. It dilutes and detoxifies, clears, holds information, and conducts.
Okay.
Those are the three things.
Like conducting electricity.
Water is inconductive. Now, this is another thing with water. If you have distilled water or reverse osmosis water, where they take all the minerals and everything else,
right.
there's no conductivity.
Okay.
So this is why it's very important to have mineralized water with minerals that's going to create a process of conductivity, because we're water. So we're creating an electromagnetic reaction in the body. So when you're asking, I'm not using any supplements. No, I used these little energy vials, and I used homeopathic lymphatic drainage to open up the lymph channels. And I used minerals in the body because I knew that if I could increase the mineral activation of the nervous system, drain the lymphatic to pull away all the toxins, and then have a clear channel for this information to go into our bodies, into its electromagnetic field, we can allow the body to do whatever it needs to do.
That's cool.
Yeah, and what would it do? This is where the programming would come in. And this is really where I'm an expert in pathophysiology. I mean, I used to teach at a naturopathic school in Denver, pathophysiology. I mean, this was my area more than being a musician. My expertise is understanding human physiology and pathophysiology. And once you understand the process of disease, then it just becomes, what delivery system are you going to use? And so this, in 2007, I came to a point where I had like 1,000 vials. I started hiring associates, and I was like, there's no way that I can reproduce these vials. Like, I don't have the time, I don't have the bandwidth. A lot of them, I don't even remember what's in there. But I want a system so I was thinking, well, what about, like, what's another delivery system? Well, what about sound? And I thought, who do I know that has a recording studio? And one of my patients, as a professional musician, I called him up, his name is Chris, and I said, Chris, do you have any health issues? And he told me that he just started dating a girl that has 3 cats, and he's deathly allergic to cats.
Oh, wow.
Now, at this time, one of my practices I was running was called the Allergy Stop. It was a holistic allergy elimination practice in Denver, Colorado, and we actually had a cat allergy protocol box. We had a box that would walk you through eliminating the cat allergies. And it was very consistent. So we had a control all of a sudden. I was like, this is great. So we went to his recording studio, never spent a day of my life in a recording studio. And I said, how do we take this box and put it into that software?
Okay, what was in the box?
The energy vials. I'm sorry.
We had little vials of water.
Little vials of water.
How are you going to put that into music?
This is it. So we basically had these, and we had, just for your, like, what was in the energy vials? We had samples of cat dander, of saliva, of proteins, of
the dog or the hair that bit you.
Different things.
Right.
And we actually had like 21 different samples. And he tested, like, he had a reaction to 18 of the 21 samples. So it was a very severe allergy that he had. And we did it through muscle testing. And he was working with Ableton music production software. And we were able to record audio files, do recordings of putting the energetic signature into Ableton music production software. This was a total experiment.
What does it sound like?
We had no idea what we were doing. I had a theory.
My science mind is coming in here just to try to clarify this.
Here's what I knew. I knew how to make an energy vial because by 2007, for 7 years, I had seen thousands of patients. I knew how to make, and I've imprinted countless numbers of vials.
Right.
And I knew that if I could do that into a tube of water, I should be able to do the same thing into music, into just music production software. But it was an experiment. So we went ahead and treated Chris for his severe cat allergy over the next week, 4 sessions over the next week. And long story short, completely eliminated his cat allergy. And I'm happy to say that was in 2007. And he's married to this day to that woman, and they have a baby, and they have the cats, and totally eliminated his cat allergy. And that was the beginning of my music company, Bioharmonic Technologies. And then from there, I created a process of formulation. Because once again, my mind is geared towards not so much music, but pathophysiology. Like, how, if you're going to go in and make like an herbal concoction or even a homeopathic, you need to put in different levels of different dilutions of different tissues to create a different physiological effect, if we're talking about homeopathics, right?
Well, you can do it that way. You can do Hahnemannian homeopathy, where you take the case and you find all the places that the person is blocked off, they're stuck or suppressed, and then you have the certain language you put in the materia medica, and you get maybe 15, 20 different homeopathic medicines, and you match up, because Hahnemann was the innovator that says like cures like.
Exactly.
So we try to, so this isn't like the multi-formula. I mean, you can use multi-formulas too. I do both, but you can just find one remedy for one person. And if you get the similimum, it just opens up everything in their life. It's the most amazing thing to see that.
Well, and I think that's what one of my early teachers said. If you want to be specific, if you want to be terrific, you have to be specific. And that's what Dr. Samuel Hahnemann said as well too.
Interesting.
To your point. So in this particular experience, the example I'm trying to make is, if you take an ingredient of X, Y, and Z and you put it together for a different physiology, you just formulated something. Right. And I said, how can I do that with sound? How can I do that with vibration? How can I do that? How can I formulate for a specific condition? And so it always begins with, what's the intention? What's the condition we're wanting to create? And that's where I created a very specific, what I call sonic-ceutical formulation process with Chris. And we created my first 2 albums together, Energy Clearing and Cellular Attunement.
So you're talking about the sonic suits, these that we use on the Vibe bed.
Exactly.
Okay, sonic
This was the beginning, and this was in 2007. At that same time, I also said to myself, instead of working with a CD, this was 2007, so we had CDs. Right. What if we created a biofeedback system? So I started creating my own portable biofeedback system, where we put imprinting specific vials and broadcasting them through headphones and into the body. So that was another prototype that I developed around the same time.
Okay, can we back up a little bit? I don't know if I'm the only one here that doesn't get this, but so you have a vial with water and you intentionally put something in there.
Information.
How in the whole, in the world can we ever get that into a music note or a vibration?
So if
you're going to have to think this, and I mean, you're going to have to at some point play some music or do the gong, like Tibetans, and on your tapes you have a lot of different sounds. I know, and a lot of different vibrations.
Do you?
On the Vibe bed, yeah. I mean, when I hear it,
so
and I feel it.
This is what's interesting.
That's what I think is happening.
So remember, this was 2007, and this was an experiment. But prior to this, I was seeing patients. I was using all exclusively bioresonant techniques and techniques at this point.
Like the vials you're talking about.
The energy vials. And I just said to myself, okay, like, just think about it this way. If I say to you, I love you, do you feel me? Do you feel me? Do you feel the energy?
Yeah, there's something coming over. I'm trying to block it.
Okay. Well, or I could say, I hate you.
I'll block that for sure.
You block that for sure. But you're blocking information coming into your field, right?
Sure, sure.
And this is, Dr. Emoto talks about this.
Right, with when crystals.
And that movie came out in 2000.
Talk about that a little bit, because people might not. That's
so Dr.
very
Emoto,
profound.
Dr. Emoto was a naturopathic doctor out of Japan. He became famous in a movie called What the Bleep Do We Know that also made Joe Dispenza very famous. That movie came out in 2004. And in that movie, there was a very famous scene of what Dr. Emoto did. He did an experiment where he would expose water to intentions, and he would either put the water on like a picture of maybe like Hitler or Satan, and he put it next to like an angel or something, or he would talk to the water and say, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, or I love you, I love you, I love you. And then he would freeze the water. Right. And then he would cut cross sections of the water and then put it under a microscope, and he would show what the frozen water crystals would look like. And of course, things that said like, I love you were very beautiful in the sacred geometry. And then things like, I hate you was all deformed and broken edges and things like that. So his theory was that if you broadcast an intention or a thought into water, and we are water, it'll create how our bodies express themselves, either in a very beautiful sacred geometry way or in a very sick disease state. I remember watching that movie with my girlfriend at the time in 2004, and what they showed was, like, in the subway scene, they had all these pictures of these frozen water crystals, and they said something to the effect of, if this is what frozen water looks, imagine what it would look like in your body. And my girlfriend turned to me, she goes, that's what you're doing. And I just remember staring at the screen at that moment in 2004 saying, that is what I'm doing. And now it's in a movie. Life will never be the same. And that was a portal. That movie really that opened up a portal of consciousness really in humanity in 2004 that really began to ripple through for many, many years to come, really to where we are now. But in this time, Dr. Emoto, he did this experiment, and really going back to where we were working with was, I said, what if I took this information and I was using my intention? I set the intention to imprint an energetic signature of X into this thing. And then I would test it to make sure it was there. And then I did it. I would put it into somebody's energy field. They put it in their hand, and I would do chest for strong or weak response. And then that would be that.
Why can't I just take the patient and have the intention, hold their hand, and find out what's going on with them, and just think all those things just go away?
You can.
Really?
If your intention's strong enough, and if their intention's strong enough, you totally can. And we see this with qigong masters, where they're sitting there chanting, and seen those videos where they had like the qigong master with the woman with the tumor, and he's like chanting, and next thing you know, he's literally like grabbing the tumor, just begins to melt away through ultrasound.
Right.
He has a very strong intent and energetic field where he can go into the quantum space and remove this process. And we were talking about this offset, where you said, in my book, Primal Resonance, Discover the Secrets to Health, Vitality, and Optimal Human Performance, one of the fundamental aspects that I talk about in this book is that we are physical manifestations of our own energetic expressions. That we're energy first and physical expressions of ourselves second. So really, if you have cancer, you manifested that energetically before you manifested that physically.
Yeah.
So you should be able to go into the energetic realm and reprogram the same information that created the physical tumor. You should be able to regress that out of your body as well, which is an interesting concept. And this is turning healthcare on upside down and backwards. But remember, this is what I've been working with since 2000. So moving the story forward, we ended up eliminating Chris's cat allergies, and we started producing music. And what I wanted to do, the foundation of Bioharmonic Technologies, I became really obsessed about researching frequencies. And I said to myself, I don't want to just have finding whatever frequencies around. Like, it needs to be substantiated in nature. It has to be something that is reproducible in nature. It has to come from a reputable source. And I'm not just going to find something online and just like, oh, it's just this. Like, it has to be validated, verified. So that's always been the foundation of Bioharmonic Technologies frequencies. And also the second component to Bioharmonic Technologies music is that, one, we have deep research therapeutics. Two, it's set in contemporary music based off of advanced music theory. So now we have something that people want to listen to, and it's layered with deep therapeutics.
Okay.
And that is what...
When you get a chance, allude to the point of where you put all these things into, and what the bed. Talk about the vibe machine so people can get a context in their mind, because now we're kind of abstract.
Well, I'm wondering about how abstract it really is. Actually, I feel that this information is vitally important because this is what sets up the information that's going through. Like, this day and age, there's a technology, there's an industry known as vibroacoustics.
Right.
Vibroacoustics, vibration in sound, vibroacoustics. And after this cat allergy experiment in 2007, we began producing music. I began researching frequencies. Between 2007, 2009, 2011, I started producing music. And we actually began to do research with heart rate variability, galvanic skin, also gas discharge visualization, Russian digital biofield testing. We started doing all this research and showing really amazing results in the bioenergetic field as people are listening to this music. And I had an idea back in 2009. Actually, it wasn't an idea. It was a divine download. I really don't know. It was a stroke of inspiration.
Okay.
Whatever you'd like to call it. But in 2009, my clinic that was closing, and I was kind of stressed, and I took my dog away for the weekend just to kind of clear my head. Yeah. And I was living in Denver, Colorado. We drove all the way down to almost the southern border near New Mexico. It's this amazing place called Crestone, Colorado. If any of your listeners, it's a vortex. It's an amazing place. Yeah. And I was there, and there's these hot springs there, and I was floating in these hot springs, and I was toning. And remember, I'm water, and I was floating in mineralized thermal water, and I was using my voice, and I was toning.
What does that mean?
What does toning mean?
Yeah.
I was singing. Okay. I was saying tones. Ah, A, E.
Like chanting almost.
Chanting.
Okay, cool.
My definition of chanting is that there's actually specific words or Sanskrit or something, symbols that you're saying. Toning is more like A, E, A, O, U, or just any sounds that might be coming out of my mouth, and that's what I was doing. I was toning, and I was floating in these hot springs, and out of nowhere, I just received a very clear vision that I was supposed to make this delivery system to accompany this music.
Yeah.
Because over the years, between 2007 and really 2009, my patients were asking me to say, Dr. Schwartz, do we need headphones, to listen to the music, like with binaural beats? And I said, specifically no, because I'm really not wanting to work with the brain. I'm wanting to work with the entire nervous system. And so I'd almost prefer using like a speaker that can interact with your field. And remember, it's going back to these little energy vials. If we can just put this energy vial into your energy field, your nervous system is going to do one of two things. It's either going to be on or off, and it's going to create on or off biochemistry. Just that simple. So the same thing with the music. Use a speaker instead of headphones so we can influence your entire nervous system. So the download came that I was supposed to make like a bed, like some kind of thing that you lay on that can receive the information of the music. And I came out of this, and it was just super clear, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And so I started journaling about it, and I started sketching it out. And I was driving back to my home in Denver, and I was just thinking to myself, I need to get this out of my head. Like, I need like a concept sketch artist. How would I find a concept sketch? I don't even know what a concept sketch artist is. And I pull up in front of my house. This is a total true story. Right. I pull up in front of my house, and my neighbor meets me at my door of my car. And he's like, Steve, I'm moving. Great to meet you. Here's my card. Let's stay in touch. I look down at the card. He's a concept sketch artist. And I was like, where are you moving? He said, just downtown. So 3 days later, I went to his new apartment, and I did a brain dump, and he made all of these concept sketches for me in 2009. And they sat in my office from 2009 until 2012. My patient was like, oh, what is that? I was like, it's a delivery system for my music. And I'm like, oh, that's such a good idea.
Yeah.
You should make that someday. And I was like, yeah, maybe someday.
Maybe.
And then in 2012, I was introduced to my first mentor, Ed Bender, that was making vibroacoustic sound beds, which was a term I'd never heard of before. And it's so obvious. It's like okay, like I never even thought, when you're online, you're trying to like Google sound vibration or all these things, but I never thought of vibroacoustics. And it turns out that there was a huge body of work of research done by these amazing pioneers, mostly over in Scandinavian countries, that was using vibration and sound with specific frequencies, mostly for like autistic children and learning disabilities and things like that, pain conditions, with incredible results. And Ed gave me all of this research, and I remember reading it and crying. Oh. Just like, wow, this is like a thing. Like, I thought this was just me, like I had no idea. So I immediately started researching all this. I recorded all those frequencies, and I began to make music with all of these therapeutics.
That's what's in the
So that was my second generation of sonic pharmaceuticals: Cell Cleanser, Spectrum, Transformation Abundance. That was the next level of frequencies that we began to work with. And I started selling them with Ed, with his sound beds. He ended up passing in 2014, and we began producing my own sound bed in 2016 with another company that I founded. And then in 2018, I started designing the Vibe system, which is my current model, through Bioharmonic Technologies. And now we are in more than 26 countries around the world, and we have nearly 1,000 of these sound beds, these Vibe systems, out in the world. So we're making a global impact, which is really exciting. And we also founded an app called Vibrophile, VIBROPHILE, which stands for Vibration Loving. It's an app. It's like people that love vibration. Yeah, like Philic.
Yeah.
Vibrophile.
That's nice.
And so, yeah, that's where we are with things, with this technology. And, like I said, this book, I wrote it it's one of the applied sciences that I talk about in this book, Primal Resonance, that discusses chronic systemic inflammation. It talks about hydration. It talks about optimal cellular communication through the living connective tissue matrix, the top 10 ways on how to reverse aging and degeneration using sound, light, frequency, and vibration. And
that's awesome. So something was coming up in my mind the whole time we were talking. When one old professor showed me, when we give the single homeopathic remedy, I wouldn't do it every time, but when I really think it's right, or you could check if it's going to work, you give it to the patient. Within 5 minutes later, because you give it in the mouth, it goes in this. Remember, this is all conducting. You're right. So that little bit of energy just got through the whole body. And you know how we know? We take them in a dark room. We put a light in their pupil. We look at the pupillary reflex. If it's the right remedy, it's going like this. Wah, 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 wah,
really?
wah, 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 wah. Like it won't hold the light, but it won't be totally dilated. But we know, and that if you can do it before too, and it just stays open. Now I'm holding the light on it. It's going and that patient always has. Well, in the beginning they have aggravations because it'll try to get rid of all the disease from their subconscious. Literally, it'll just come out.
Wow.
Which homeopathy is so powerful, and maybe yours is too, because when people have trauma, especially or PTSD, and I know I've had my issues, and I would just keep thinking, why didn't I do this? Is she coming back? And why, all this stuff, and I think that's how I'm going to fix it. There's no way. It'll make you totally crazy. But if you can go in through the subconscious with energy and start to push it out from energetic to physical, that's that's what you're doing, actually, I think, to some degree.
No, it's exactly what we're doing. And we're just influencing the field from another angle. So my area of expertise was always to specialize with these visceral somatic reflexes. And really, this is where it takes you into subconscious mind reprogramming, but also working on more of clearing cellular memory. That was a question I asked myself is, how do I clear cellular memory? And what is cellular memory?
That's important.
Chronic systemic inflammation. I talk about all this in my book, but this has been the cornerstone of my practice really since 2000. Really started working with cellular memory in 2004 after returning from the jungles of Peru and working with shaman and plant medicines. Really? So that opened, because I had a profound experience with clearing my own cellular memory.
Were you using ayahuasca or one of the?
I had an experience with ayahuasca, with San Pedro, and really just up in Machu Picchu working with a shaman at the vortex. I call it vortex medicine.
Did you go out of your body at any time, do you think?
I went to many places.
Wow.
So what I believe in terms of with all, whether it's Einstein or Tesla or you or myself, anybody that does anything creative, whether they're making music or they're paint or they're doing some kind of beautiful work of art, whether they're getting a download to invent something or whatever it might be, Einstein referred to it as thought experiments, which is quote unquote meditation, but you're receiving information from someplace else. Cool. And it always correlates where, in 2007, I was getting downloaded information about building a biofeedback machine. And at that same time, you're familiar with the Healy, the biofeedback machine, the Healy,
Heard of it.
Out of Austria?
Okay.
So the founder of Healy, Marcus Schlemke, he is a quantum physicist. And he tells his story about how he got the idea for the Healy, the same time that the download to make what's it called, the time waver biofeedback machine. The same year that I was getting my download to make the same technology over in America. So it was in the quantum field, and people were just kind of
not just one
tapping into it. And now the thing is, most people are like, oh, that's interesting, and they kind of forget about it.
Right.
Others take action on it. And and that's kind of the take-home message that I really want to share with the people that see this episode is everybody is open to source. Everybody receives information. The only difference between myself and maybe somebody watching this episode right now is I chose to take action. So
You chose to be able to see it, though, to understand it, to see it, to intuit it. It's there. It's something tangible.
Yeah, it's something
tangible. Because if it's not, why do I want, I don't know.
Well, I had a download to make this, the Vibe in 2009.
Okay.
I wasn't even introduced to vibroacoustics till 2012, and I didn't start producing my own sound bed till 2016. Yeah. And really, I didn't really start making my own solo project till 2018, which is the Vibe system now. And really, since 2019, we've been evolving, and it's still not quite to the vision that I have. But going to be exceeding and surpassing that vision going into 2025 for sure and beyond. So I know you've been asking me about the Vibe system itself, and essentially it's a delivery system. I don't like using the word a bed because people associate beds. Beds are what people sleep on.
Yeah.
And it's not a bed, it's not a couch, it's not a chair, it's not a mat, it's none of those things. It's its own unique thing. It's a Vibe system, which, repeat after me.
Okay.
Vibrational. Individualized. Body. Enhancement. System. It's a
vibes. Yeah. Okay.
It's its own unique.
I have that on my paper there.
It's its own unique delivery system for broadcasting sonic-ceutical programs into the body.
So and we use it for one autistic young man who's 21, and he had some amazing changes. I mean, just in 10 treatments.
So he did 10 treatments?
Yeah, we did the...
so what kind of results did he get?
Okay, so he came in, and I wanted to videotape all this, but the mom and the dad said he doesn't like it, he doesn't want any. We did the first one, so I have the baseline, what he was like, right? And he was very like, he would always frame his mom, everything I said, you have to look at the mom, and he's 21. I think he had about 10-year-old or 10-year-old mentality. And he was very nervous, and he was angry, like, Mom, I want this, like a little kid, right? And so finally, we did the 10 treatments. I did spectrum, almost every one, all the spectrum. And he started coming in, standing taller. That was the first thing. He's not like scared and hunched over, and he's becoming inquisitive. He's starting to look around, and he's starting to realize there's more in the world than just me, right? And he's being inquisitive, and he has this big attachment with women. He wanted a girlfriend. He so loved women, but he's so nervous, right? So even if he saw one, he's like freak out. Now, on the 10th treatment, he's there by himself. His mom's over here. He's not with the mom really. He's away from the mom, so he's separated. And he's bantering with the front desk staff. They're all women. And they could see who he was, and they're being really nice to him. But it was amazing that the difference there, that he grew in those 10 treatments. So
and that's not a lot of treatments. They're like, 20 minutes, 30 minutes?
Yeah, 30 to 30. Well, sometimes we do it, we let it go 15 minutes. We let it go twice around.
So within 10 hours, less than 10 hours, you were able to dramatically, long-term impact someone in his 20s that had a significant autistic spectrum disorder.
Yeah, he would never be normal. He couldn't work or anything.
Yeah, he couldn't work. Normal.
He's getting better.
I just would like to acknowledge that doesn't happen. Yeah. Okay, like that doesn't...
Unless if you find the right homeopathic remedy, which could take a long time, an incredible amount of work, and it's possible, but usually, that's really difficult.
So you went on, you picked a track, you put headphones on, and he did it.
He liked it, though. I wasn't sure if he'd like it or not, because in the beginning, he can't concentrate on anything.
People like music.
That's all he is. Now, he's opening up to the world. It was incredible, so thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you. Because this is, in my practice, before there was a place in my practice where it's like, okay, come see Dr. Schwartz. This is the Dr. Schwartz show. Right. Then it comes down to, okay, let me hire associates, so it's not all about Dr. Schwartz, it's Dr. Schwartz's clinic. Right. Then there comes a place where we started, I developed these $30,000 biofeedback machines, and I started training doctors with that system. And now I was training other doctors with my technology and with my protocols that I'd created. The next step is going directly to the end user, which is the Vibe system, where whether you're a doctor or not, you can take this technology into your home, into your clinic, into your center, into your office, into whatever you want to have it. Pick the sonic-ceutical. In fact, we have a very simple equation to work with this because there's other sound beds out there. You can find them. You can pick any music. You can find something on YouTube, some frequency music, 528, whatever it is, and play it. But that's not what Bioharmonic Technology is about. We have curated specialized sonic-ceutical programs with 5 to 7 layers of specific therapeutics designed for specific physiological effects. This one's great for PTSD.
So list some of them out so people could see what you're talking about. Like
so this one's
clearing.
Energy clearing is great for PTSD.
Okay.
It's great for, we call it sonic sage. It like clears negative energy out of your nervous system space and being.
It's like saging your office kind of?
Except with sound and vibration. It's got spinal frequencies. It puts you into a alpha brainwave state and has other
Alpha is rest, relax.
Alpha is like a daydream.
Digest.
It's like
parasympathetic kind of?
Well, your body's going to go into more of a resting spot.
That's what we want.
Exactly.
Opposed to sympathetic, which is driven like, type A, or just constantly going and never slowing down, never relaxing, never meditating, just winging it almost.
Exactly.
Okay. So list a couple more.
This is cellular attunement. This has 12 different emotional relationships associated with it. This one has 7 layers of different therapeutics, all for balancing your emotions. Sonic Pharmaceuticals Volume 1. This is a program that has 9 different protocols like stem cell activation, wound healing, visceral healing, bone and tissue regeneration frequencies, and they're all based off of frequencies from Dr. Paul Nozier. Do you familiar with Dr. Paul Nozier?
No, just from this, but no.
So Dr. Paul Nozier, he's an acupuncturist, French/medical doctor that did research on specific frequencies on auricular points.
Like Chinese medicine?
Exactly, and he showed that this frequency would be great for this condition. So we took all those frequencies and embedded them.
So it's like doing an ear seed and pushing on that one place, but maybe
except
more
we're doing
advanced.
it systemically.
Okay.
We're broadcasting it systemically.
Okay.
Cellular self-cleanser is an anti-inflammatory detox. This is natural anti-inflammatory. It's great for physical and emotional detoxification. Spectrum is great for ADD, depression, anxiety.
Anything neurological.
Anything neurological. Transformation and abundance is it's a sonic vision board, also a sonic cup of coffee. So if you want beta brainwave, alertness, like, come on world, I'm ready for you, that's abundance.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the journey has 3 different journeys. One is a program of self-actualization called Who Am I? Another one's called Tribal Jungle Journey called Escape. And then we have a spaceship ride to Pluto that has all of these recorded planetary frequencies from NASA.
Yeah.
But it's getting fun. Like at this point, we're getting invited to all around the world to really showcase this technology. We're working closer with psychedelic assistive therapy, which is really big. We have some opportunities
like
where
ketamine,
MDMA, mushrooms.
And at the same time using the vibe.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And I actually feel it's one of the most profound aspects of working with psychedelic assistive therapy, because the psychedelic is not the healing. The psychedelic is the portal that allows access into consciousness for the healing to occur. So if you can have a vibe system with a specific protocol that matches the healing that needs to happen, same as what you're talking about with your homeopathic remedy, the psychedelic will open, and then the specificity of a sonic pharmaceutical with the intention of the user is going to create, it tethers the treatment to the nervous system.
To be part of it. It's not like something you just give, it's just do it to you. I don't like drugs, and they don't work very well, think about it. But when you're talking about the homeopathics, because what it does, what we've always thought, we just say words to what we think is going on, is it opens the door for them to heal. And if you do the right remedy, and you can see the person will come in and they look like a different person.
Exactly.
They can. I've seen it 2 or 3 times in my life. It's very profound.
I'm very honored and blessed. In 2024, I was in 2 movies. 2 movies. One, and actually the first movie just came out as a book.
Okay.
So this is a book. I don't know if you can even get it. You can message me if you want to get a copy of this. But the movie's called Beyond Physical Matter, and I'm one of 16 master teachers in the movie that talks about consciousness and quantum physics. And we're not even really talking about the vibe. We're talking
healing.
Yeah, and healing.
Okay.
Healing the mind, healing the spirit, healing the body. And it all has the different cast members talking. It's been transcribed into a book. So I'm really pleased that this came out, that I'm a part of this, really getting the message out to the masses. And then the next movie that just debuted Sunday night, that's going to be available on Amazon Prime Christmas Day. It's called Biohack Yourself. And they have 7 hours of content of the industry leaders and industry-leading technologies in the space of biohacking. And I'm honored to be invited into that movie.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show today.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. I definitely want to know everything you're doing in the future and the next tracks. I want to know all that stuff. It's cool.
Well, you're one of our community members. You're one of our Vibe owners that was inspired by meeting me and with this technology. And you're always messaging me, telling me about your amazing cases that you have.
Yeah, for a while.
And so, if people want to find me, you can find me on Instagram at drvibe on Instagram. That's my personal Instagram.
Dr. Vibe?
Dr. Vibe, or Bioharmonic Technologies. Bioharmonic_technologies is our company Instagram. Or you can go to read_primal resonance is my book Instagram, or our website is bioharmonictechnologies.com.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
All right.